Hello and welcome to SEO is Not That Hard. I'm your host, Edd Dawson, the founder of keywordspeopleuse.com, the place to find and organise the questions people ask online. I'm an SEO, developer, affiliate marketer and entrepreneur. I've been building and monetising websites for over 20 years and I've bought and sold a few along the way. I'm here to share with you the SEO knowledge, hints and tips I've built up over the years. Hello and welcome back to SEO is Not That Hard. It's me here, Edd Dawson, hosting as usual. And today I'm going to be talking all about SearchGPT, which has finally landed from OpenAI. And I'm going to look at, what it is and how it works, where it pulls its data from, and of course, how it decides to rank information. So let's start with the basics. So SearchGPT, it's a new AI-powered search tool developed by OpenAI, who also created, obviously, ChatGPT. And they've designed it to help users retrieve information and answer questions in a sort of nuanced and conversational way. So unlike traditional search engines like Google, which display a list of links, well, obviously Google have now got their AI overviews at the top, but still, very much traditional, here's your list of links. SearchGPT generates a sort of a direct, on-the-fly response to questions based on what it understands is the most relevant information that it can find that's available. So how does it do this? Well, it's powered by the same kind of underlying functionality as ChatGPT. You very much have that ChatGPT window if you've used ChatGPT, but they've sort of fine-tuned it to function more like a search engine. So they say it enables them to prioritize accuracy, timeliness, and relevancy in its responses. So it's kind of like they're trying to pitch it as a hybrid between a search engine and like what way they will call a knowledgeable assistant. So when you come to it, essentially you will, if you've not tried it yet, go to your ChatGPT. You have to be, I think, a Plus or a Teams user, although they are going to bring it into sort of the lower and free tiers soon. You basically get the standard message ChatGPT little box at the bottom, but instead of there's like a new little thing you can click, and it's like the world symbol and a search. So once you click that, you're basically telling Google this is a search. Sorry, not Google, also but ChatGPT. This is now a search session, and you want it to search the web as well as use its own knowledge. And then it becomes like, this new session. It only works with ChatGPT 4.0, so it doesn't work with the new 0.1 and 0.1 preview and 0.1 mini. It only works with the 4.0. Now, let's dig into how it works. So at its core, SearchGPT uses a mix of OpenAI's sort of the proprietary models that we're used to when we work with ChatGPT, and then integrations with other sources to pull data in. So this means it actually has access to up-to-date information through live browsing capabilities. So it means, unlike the previous models, sort of in traditional ChatGPT, where you're limited by a cutoff in their training data, SearchGPT can actually actively go and pull data from the web in real time and feed that into the answers it gives you. So it's a bit like, they say it's a bit like having a hired skilled researcher. So it looks for sources across the internet and it quickly evaluates that content based on reliability and relevance, and synthesizes this information to develop what they say is a coherent answer. And this capability, this sets it apart from the traditional AI, which we've seen to date, which has that limit of only answering questions based on static information it's learned during training. This is the kind of thing I've talked about when I've said don't use ChatGPT for keyword research and things like that, because it doesn't have access to the right data sets. Now, SearchGPT is limited in its data set, so don't get excited and think, all right, Ed said last week, don't use ChatGPT for keyword research. I wouldn't use SearchGPT for keyword research, okay? It still hasn't got access to all those data sets that keyword research tools and Google itself has access to, but it does now have much better access to more live information. So you could talk to it about more recent events. You could talk to it about, for example, I asked it the question, what's the current Bitcoin price? And it could go and get that data and bring it straight back. What was the Bitcoin price over the past 5 days? Could it get that back and it could show me the price fluctuations over the past 5 days? So it could do things like that now that it couldn't do before. So the key thing now is like, where does SearchGPT get its data? Okay, we need to understand its data sources so we can understand sort of the capabilities and limitations. It's got general sources, which are like news sites, databases, forums, and other public web pages. And they say they've partnered with various trusted data providers and sources to make sure they pull a wide array of sort of reliable content. Now, one of the key things here is the big one in terms of SEO is Bing. It has access to Bing's live index. So a lot of the deciding where to go and search, where to go and find sources will come from Bing. So for many years, Bing, has clung around with a small market share and has generally been ignored by many SEOs, especially if you're in a country where Bing doesn't get used much. But Bing stayed there, and it's actually not bad. Its index is comparable probably to Google's in size. Is it as sophisticated as Google? As a traditional search engine? Maybe not, but it's not bad. And, I think in many ways it was kept by Microsoft for many, many years simply because I don't think Microsoft wanted to completely abandon search just to Google. Now, obviously, Microsoft and OpenAI have got a lot of common ownership. Microsoft are a big investor into OpenAI, and ChatGPT and all that runs on a lot of Microsoft-owned hardware. So, they've got that relationship, and then obviously sort of utilizing that to bring sort of the power of Bing's index with the capabilities of OpenAI to synthesize the two together, along with the other sources which they are working with to be able to create what we now see as SearchGPT. Important thing to note with these results and the data, it doesn't just pull its answers verbatim. Instead, it uses its language model to understand the information that it's pulled and then to summarize that information, which means you're getting a unique synthesized response based on multiple sources rather than a direct pull from just one page from one site. So their aim, they say in this, is to reduce the risk of a single source being biased and influencing the answer. It also means that, there's not going to be necessarily a number one result. They do give their sources down the side. You can get a sidebar with the sources, and obviously they are listed in a particular order. But they're never going to rely on just one data source. So in a way, it's a bit like if you were to go to Google and, do a search, take the top 5, 6, 7 pages, look at them all individually and summarize in your head what they're trying to say between them. This is essentially doing it all that work for you in a matter of seconds, and using that powerful LLM ability to summarize information, present those results to you. So it actually works quite well, I've got to say. It summarizes it in a way that you're still going to want to visit the pages most of the time that are being referenced, those source pages that are there clicked. They are given credit, and there's a link to them, and you can go to them, so you can go and see where the source of this data is from after seeing the summary of all the data together. So it's quite interesting in that respect. And obviously a key one as SEOs, for anyone interested in SEO, we're going to be thinking, how does SearchGPT decide on rankings and relevancy? So this part's quite interesting because just like a traditional search engine, SearchGPT has to decide what sources to prioritize, especially when there's conflicting information or a large amount of data on a topic. But rather than relying on keywords, backlinks, and other SEO signals, SearchGPT says it evaluates data based on factors like credibility, freshness, and contextual relevancy. So it's trying to work out and assess how trustworthy a source is and how current the information is. So, for example, a sort of recent scientific study on a topic would generally, they say, be prioritized over a blog post from a few years ago. So freshness appears obviously pretty key to them. And they say they're also looking for consensus across sources. So if multiple credible sources say the same thing, that information is more likely to be included in the response. Now, obviously, going back to the fact that Bing does factor into this a lot, and they're using Bing as a source, there is going to be a situation where actually keywords, backlinks, and those other traditional SEO signals, they're influencing Bing. They are going to be influencing these results as well. So there's still that traditional side of SEO going to be in there on influencing Bing. But obviously, I think the SearchGPT is then with that, when it's taking all the data and summarizing the data it's found, it's going to start adding on these things like, like the relevancy, like the recency, like the credibility, that just like you would yourself if you were looking at a set of results, you're going to probably prioritize newer pages over older pages. You're going to also look at, you're going to give credibility to sites. If you recognize a particular website, say it's a well-trusted news source, you're going to trust that over like someone's homepage blog, So what does this mean for the world of SEO? Okay, what are the implications? What's the impact of this going to be? Well, this is, in my opinion, the first time I've seen a new approach to search that actually looks like it could work, that is different from Google. It's not, I think the reason Google became so prevalent is because it was the pinnacle of that type of search engine. The traditional search engine it was the pinnacle, and no one could better it because they've kind of mastered it. This is doing something different. It's not just being a search engine. It's adding in this whole summarization ability. And I know Google are trying with their AI overviews, but you can have the conversation with SearchGPT. You can start the initial research, read its initial summarization, and you can ask further questions, and it'll go and search for more sources that you can delve deeper into that, which obviously you can't with traditional Google. So thinking about how it affects and will affect SEO in the future is we now, instead of being, like say, to rank in a particular position for a particular keyword, what we need to be really is among what SearchGPT considers these credible sources when it's pulling an AI, when the AI is pulling an answer. You want to be one of those sources that get chosen. And I think in the first instance, clearly doing well in Bing is going to work. I've got plenty of sites that do well in Bing. I've gone across and tested it across some of these topics, and my sites are being included. And some of these sites do better in Bing than they do in Google. So I've got some which are doing well in this, better than they do in Google, purely because Bing likes them. That, to me, at the moment, okay, so just correlation. I'm not a massive great study, but this appears to be a thing for me that, if people are going to start, paying more attention to Bing. Freshness is obviously going to be a key thing. The mention of freshness that they're looking for. Although it depends, again, on your topic. Some places things change very fast, change all the time. So the freshness is going to be dependent upon the topic you're in. How is this going to affect the consumer search space as a whole? Well, like I said in the podcast just a couple of weeks ago about the actual size of ChatGPT as compared to Google, ChatGPT has got such, its user base is like an order of magnitude lower than Google's. Most people are still going to be using Google. So this SearchGPT, power users, people like ourselves who are into SEO, very into online, are probably going to start using this more. That's without a doubt, But will the rest of the populace, will your average Joe in the street be into using SearchGPT? Well, at the moment, it's a paid product. You have to pay for a, paid ChatGPT plan. And, there are millions of people, 10 million people, I think was the last count, somewhere like that number, are paying users of ChatGPT, so are eligible to be able to use SearchGPT. But that's a drop in the ocean compared to the, 5-6 billion users online worldwide. So, this is still niche. This isn't going to suddenly destroy your SEO efforts if you're focused on Google. Since this has been launched, again, I've seen no impact on any of my sites. I don't think anyone really will have seen an impact because of this, because it is just still so niche. So this may be how things evolve over time. And it's still early days. It's still a raw product, okay? There's many things it's not great at. It's not great at local, for example. They say this is things they're going to work on. So, it's not great on if you're looking for directions. It hasn't got Google. It hasn't got the maps function. It hasn't got all those functionality pieces that you're used to in Google and lots of other people used to in Google. And at the end of the day, it's not free. And the fact it's not free means adoption will be low. And the cost of creating these AI results compared to the cost of Google search results is, it's much more expensive computationally and therefore cost-wise for OpenAI to do this kind of SearchGPT. Whereas traditional Google, Google have dialed it down. They've got that system operating so cheap per query. That's why they can offer it free. Obviously, they subsidize it with ads. And again, SearchGPT, no ads. It's not monetized beyond you having a subscription. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do come up with a free version. Do they have to put an ad system in, all these things? If they have to do that, it's going to take time. So at least in the short to medium term, I don't think this is going to be the Google killer for the mass market. It might be the Google killer for the sort of specialist market. But Google can cope with that, It makes its money out of advertising to the masses on a free service. So at this point, I wouldn't be thinking this is game over tomorrow. But obviously, we're going to have to keep an eye on this. We're going to want to appear in this as well as we want to appear in Google. But the focus for your website should still clearly be Google. But keep an eye on this and use this. It is great. I would recommend people to use it, but be aware of its limitations. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. I hope if you've got any questions, any thoughts, do get in touch. Love to hear from people. And until next time, I'll see you later. Before I go, I just wanted to let you know that if you'd like a personal demo of our tools at Keywords People Use, that you can book a free, no obligation, one-on-one video call with me, where I show you how we can help you level up your content by finding and answering the questions your audience actually have. You can also ask me any SEO questions you have. You just need to go to keywordspeopleuse.com/demo, where you can pick a time and date that suits you for us to catch up. Once again, that's keywordspeopleuse.com/demo, and you can also find that link in the show notes of today's episode. Hope to chat with you soon. Thanks for being a listener. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe and share. It really helps. SEO is not that hard. It's brought to you by keywordspeopleuse.com, the place to find and organise the questions people ask online. See why thousands of people use us every day. Try it today for free at keywordspeopleuse.com. To get an instant hit of more SEO tips, then find the link to download a free copy of my 101 quick SEO tips in the show notes of today's episode. If you want to get in touch, have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. I'm at Channel5 on Twitter. You can email me at podcast@keywordspeopleuse.com. Bye for now, and see you in the next episode of SEO is Not That Hard.